This is Rebecca, the Steampunk Planner, and today we are in the 2025 Daily Planner. It's the B6 size by Sterling Ink, and I've got some reviews to do. Now, I will let you know I am not reviewing them all in this video. It would be way too long. So we are going to start off with, voila, the ink. Yeah, of course. So, this is my ink and pen swatch book. I will go into a little more detail of what I've started in a different video, but I did want to mention that this is the only ink magazine or booklet that I'm getting, and this is for Friendlies. Okay, sorry. My dyslexia kicked in with that. But I've made my list and I will be checking it twice. Yes, it's after Christmas, sorry. So I've got my Granger archival ink and it is waterproof so that I can paint with it to do my stamps. And I need to make a decision. This is the Steampunk Planner. So let's leave Art Deco to the side. We did that in December. And let's pick an image. Now I have one in mind, but I have a feeling I don't have an acrylic square large enough. I really want to do this guy on the top right because I think it would work beautifully for these inks, but I'm really not thinking that, no, my square is not going to fit. Well, booger snots. Okay, anyhow, I need to figure out which one of these I'm going to use, and I will, when I figure that out, bring it back to you. But right now, we need to get going on swatching. So I have received for Christmas from my stepfather this beautiful dip pen. It is exactly like the clear dip pen that I currently have, that I use for the swatching, except this one is in jade. So the handle itself is a jade with a clear coat. It's gorgeous. I have of course, my Kakimori nib, as well as it is in the deleter holder. So we're going to get busy. I am going to, at the end, paint up one of the stamps that I've chosen. So this one is the Ferris Wheel Press, and this is Russet Typecase. And I know what you're saying, that looks brown. Well, it's a brown yellow, and I love it because it's more on the burnt ochre end of brown yellow than on any other end. So this is a gorgeous ink. And when I saw it, I had to have it. And right now I am trying to get 2 of the new Pilot inks. Not the blue one, of course, but everywhere I've looked so far, they're out of stock, so I'm going to be keeping my eyes out on them. So, one thing that I have found with this, along with a couple other inks in this set, is they're not extremely fluid. Got to turn that camera around because I got to write sideways or my writing is a mess. So this is a beautiful golden brown burnt ochre, and I love it. It is not overly runny, which means it's not flooding the nib, which makes this an excellent pen for extra fine or fine nibs. Now it's going to also be great for the broad, the medium, and snub nose, any of those pens. But since I stick mainly into the fine and extra fine and only dip slightly into the mediums, this works beautifully for me. So I've used the jade dip pen to put in the swatch, and I've got Froggy McFoggerton in here right now. Yes, that's my name for my clip. And we're going to go into lead cast. Now, this one is gorgeous. Lead cast letters. And I love this. We actually, my father's side of the family had a print company, and they worked a lot with typeset and stamps. So this set really brings back memories. Now, one thing with this dip pen, there's nothing wrong with the ink. This dip pen is the first time using it. So just like with regular fountain pens, you need to figure out how much ink is on it that you need on it, and I didn't figure that out when I first started. So 2 dips, this worked. Now this is a warm gray, so it's going to have more of a brown red base to it, almost like a beige, so it's not overwhelmed. Unlike cool bases, which have more of a blue or a pink base to it. This one has a brown, if it's a beige, which is what I'm calling it, it's more of a pink brown base or red brown base. I'm stuck on beige. So, yeah. So this is Sad Charade. And I'm not sure if I already have this one, but I don't mind having a second because this ink is just beautiful. Now, I always need to make sure I don't like to dip these pens too far in because then I wind up wearing them. So a lot of the issues I have with dipping. So I just need to get a little bit more comfortable with doing that. And I apologize. I am not zoomed in. I thought I was when I recorded this originally. So Sad Charade is a beautiful, beautiful color. It's very vintage-esque, and it is a light, what I consider a light sage with a well-balancing of green and blue in it, and the shadowing is immediate. Now the other two, you can see the shadowing on them as they have dried. But with Sad Charade, oh my gosh, the shadowing was immediate. Beautiful. So this is Crystal Blue Legacy. And it's the only one that I have in this set that has a shimmer. And it was well packed in there. So it needed an aggressive shaking. The shimmer that's in there has given it more of a purple hue to the navy. You can also see here that using the dip pen, that this ink has more pigmentation to it. So it's more opaque, where the other three are more sheer. And that's fine because they still show up. But this navy still will work great in my fine. And if you work in the medium, broad, snub nose, any of those, you will love this ink. With the shimmer, the whiter, of course, the better. So now I am going to get everything cleaned up. And, oh, wait a minute. I forgot to swatch it. Duh. Okay, let's get that swatch done. And you can see, even though I really aggressively shook it, and I actually shook it twice, you are not really seeing the shimmer coming through. And again, I'm fine with that. I like the finer shimmers because that lets me know I can use this in most of my pens, especially my fine. Now, I might not put it in my extra fine. I prefer a shimmer in the fluid, but we'll talk on another one for that one. You can see that none of these bled through except for the stamp. Now, I did kind of get a little heavy-handed on that, but I always place the card, and Froggy McFroggerton has to come back because I got to hold that placement. Otherwise, it's just going to kick back at me. And I'm not talking about the frog, I'm talking about the paper. So here, I am using the long, slender dip pen that my sister-in-law gave me a couple years ago for Christmas. And you've seen me use this periodically, but this is perfect when I just want to get into those fine areas. And you can see here that the lead cast, it just went right out of my head. The lead cast ink really flowed beautifully, where it was a little slower on the other dip pen. And that is, you can see by the tip on this, that Because this is long and lean, the ink has no problem flowing more. Whereas on the other tips of my dip pen, it's a wider nib, so the ink doesn't flow down as fast, which is why I use that for writing. But this one is beautiful for doing painting. Now I did bring in the Treacle MIDZ Nature Brush set. This is one of the brushes from that I'm using to blend, and I'm using just a little bit of water on the side just to keep everything flowing. Adding the lead cast to the wheels, and then I am going to go into using that beautiful golden russet. This ink is just perfect. Actually, all 4 of these inks work beautifully in this painting that I'm doing. And you can see how quickly the stamp dried and that it is waterproof, because you need that even when painting with ink. So I'm going to continue to just fill in where I feel the gray or the gold needs to go. And now I'm bringing in Sad Charade just to add some glimmer, some highlights, some other coloring, just to give it a little bit more depth into the image. I really love how this looks. It creates shadowing as well as highlighting from its surroundings. You never know. It could be making, flying. The sky can be around it. There's no telling. It's your imagination. It's what you want to make it. And this is how I'm making it. Now I'm using the Crystal Blue Legacy to deepen in those shadows. This brush is a great brush, and it's really, really helping me out on just getting in where I need to without overdoing or over flooding areas. And I can take just a wet brush and remove some of the color that I don't want, or drag color out so that you have like a little bit of a shadowy background in there. There's Wednesday, and of course this is sped up, so he sounds like a little baby. Well, he is a big baby, so yeah. Here is the highlights going in with my brush tip Faber-Castell white. Thank you for joining me. We'll get to the others next.